I've had Otiende mention it, and I think Dan Manzo keep on mentioning. But it is Otiende's side that keep on speak about it many times in rallies. Oh, corruption, corruption. There's no need even to worry. If we save money from corruption, we'll be able to execute projects. You know, as they say about numbers, numbers don't lie. And I wish Otiende would take time to consider the facts as they are, as opposed to just a good vibe and a story which cannot help Kenya out of the situation that is in.
When you talk about numbers, you know, which numbers are you talking about?
Kenya currently collects 1.6 trillion in revenue. That's by and large everything that we collect as a country on average the last 3 years. Our debt repayment stands at 1 trillion Kenya shillings, meaning of that 1.6 trillion, a trillion is not even on the table because we collect and it services debt directly. You're left with 600. Our recurrent expenditure, GOK, that is money to pay salaries for teachers, policemen, all these civil servants, pay rent of government offices and all those things, whatever they operate in, stands at 700 billion on average every particular year. Those two items alone have completely wiped off revenue. You haven't sent any resources to the counties, which from if you take an average of the last 3 years, is in excess of 350 billion. You have not even you have not spent 0 shillings in development budget. So what is the long and short of what I intend to inform my two good friends is that there is, first of all, nothing to even steal. So talk about, forget about the long stories that you speak about in rallies and come to the reality that as a country, unless we have a good conversation about this debt issue, there's absolutely nothing to spend. So let us stop that those ignorant conversations on such a high-level platform. So I come to Kalonzo. You know, this Kalonzo conversation is quite interesting because Otiende would rather forget everything that Kalonzo has said about their side of this contest and latch onto something which personally I've tried to scan through media, and I watch Kalonzo quite closely because he's a leader I respect. I have never seen him say the things Otiende says about him, that one, he was completely exclusive, that he cannot work with the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. As he has been about the ODM leader, and you've quoted this interview that Otiende always wish, you know, every time you brings it up, he has a very nice theory about it and says, no, we rely on what he has said later. He do really wish to forget this conversation about what Kalonzo said, that he'd be a fool if he chose to back Raila Odinga for the 3rd time. And the thing that I'd wish to say is that why is Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, you know, who is his main campaign engine in this particular election cycle, why are they blackmailing Kalonzo Musyoka? Why do I say they are blackmailing him? When you see the movements of these 3 Ukambani governors, it is meant to sort of like threaten Kalonzo. And those statements have come from none other than Otiende saying that if Kalonzo doesn't make up his mind, you can see the political space that he used to occupy is now being threatened by Alfred Mutua. Come on, please, give us a break, Otiende. Surely, who is Alfred Mutua? Who is Kivutha Kibwana? Who is Charity Ngulu? In the space and plan of the politics of the region where Dan Manzo comes from. Stop using these 3 governors to try and send in feelers and say, you know, we have the ability. Even when you see the kind of rallies they are mobilizing, you can see that this is state resources. This is all planned by government of Kenya to try and just beat Kalonzo into submission. Can you give the good gentleman time to make up his mind? I'm sure he said, and I watched him, I think 2 or 3 days ago, he said, we are listening to the partners, but we are more keen on dealing with partners who are genuine. Partners who are honest. Why does Kalonzo speak about honest partners? Because he remembers that, for example, in 2017, he went and hunted with ODM. Immediately after the elections, and there was something to share. Number one, in the name of the handshake, Raila Odinga took the entire, whatever good fortunes that came out of the handshake, and shared absolutely nothing with the rest of his NASA partners. When there was money from the political parties' fund, you know, ODM as a party denied access of these funds to the rest of the 3 coalition partners that formed NASA to them. Very bad behavior, which somehow conveniently they now want.
Is that true?
Yes.
The money has not been paid up to today.
Up to today. And wait, I finish.
The money has not
Look
been paid.
at even the kind of language the Secretary General.
But there was intent. There was
Listen,
intent to pay this money.
Wait, there are two issues. Number one, you know, if I hunt with you, this money ODM has had access for the last 3 financial years. It is only until recently that they started saying, oh, you know, we can talk. When they all of a sudden it dawned on them that they needed Wiper and Fort Kenya and ANC, that they said, oh, after all, we can share with it. But for the last 3 financial years, when Wiper has been calling for a fair distribution of that kitty, remember the kind of things that the Secretary General of ODM used to call them. He said these are leeches, you know. How do you expect that Kalonzo will suddenly forget that ODM unleashed Sifuna on him to call him a leech and certainly just begin working with them? Those are the things that Kalonzo keeps on referring to every time he speaks and say, even if we are to enter into talks, it will be talks with people who are honest. There is no honesty on the part of ODM. I told you on 3 weeks ago here that the reason why we passed the Political Parties Amendment Act, it is called the Raila Insurance Law in the political circles. It is meant so that if you go into any political agreement with Raila Odinga, at least it can secure you. Because anybody else who has worked with him from previously, they have always been shortchanged. And that's why we have all these challenges that they're experiencing. So the long and short of it is that do not panic, Otiende. If you make your bed, please be prepared to lie on it. That is the challenge that you are having. People are not keen to work with the ODM leader because of his tendencies to always renege on the things that they promise and their bad habits. You know, this insulting behavior that you have on these other leaders. When I have never seen Sifuna apologize for the things he said about Kalonzo, Wetangula, and Musalia Mudavadi. Then suddenly you just expect that they'll easily come up and support Raila Odinga. I mean, people have got to be honest, and those are the challenges that his side of the political divide continues to experience.
Yes.